finally, after a long 2019, it's playoff time for the 3WideRacing League RaceKings Cup Series. One final race to set the 12-car grid for the playoffs this fall. Hello, welcome to SimTV. My name is Kyle Heyer. I'm joined tonight by Finian. And Finian, tonight we go short track racing at a half-mile track in Myrtle Beach. Last night, the Yinzer Graphics on Real Tour was here. Had a lot of trouble getting around this half-mile circuit. Very bouncy setup. A lot of drivers struggling to hang on to it. 16 drivers tonight. This is kind of an obscure racetrack. It's playoff time, so the drivers that are locked in might not necessarily feel the need to show up tonight. So a smaller grid, is that a good thing or a bad thing for those starting at the tail of the field tonight?
I think it's a good thing for guys starting in the back. It's less cars you have to work through, and also a lot more points because we only currently have 16 guys in qualifying. We're getting ready to qualify, so yeah, not many cars through. They can get more points, but the problem is, especially if you're one of those guys that's kind of hoping for a championship competitor to fall out of the standings. Really, I'm talking about Cogswell. If he makes a mistake, he doesn't really fall out many places, and that's going to be tough for guys like Acosta, who's 6 points back and really needs extra points.
So the field getting out on the racetrack to set the grid for this evening. On the left-hand side of the screen, that's going to be your playoff cut line on the bottom left there, and Jonathan Cogswell is 1 point to the good, and he is here tonight. Kyle Hanshaw in the 46 is also here. So is
Acosta and some also.
Yeah, so the cut line picture tonight is very interesting as opposed to last night, which was pretty much set in stone. Not the case this evening, so it's going to get pretty spicy and dicey around the 12th spot in the points. On the left-hand side of the screen, as well as when we show this up on top, the drivers that are highlighted in that bright blue, those are your playoff drivers that are locked in and good to go. The drivers that are not lit up in blue are not locked in and have to race their way in here tonight. Win and you're in, Finian, so it's really important for some of these drivers, especially with a smaller grid. It's a little bit easier to win tonight, especially. I think we're missing some of our heavy hitters like Chad Frankenfield and Matt Gruenberg, so that is a huge opening for somebody to come in here and steal the show.
Yeah, remember the win and you lock in scenario. So a lot of these other guys who are staying in the back, even guys that are not even in the playoff picture, if they get a win, you're in. so a lot of those guys can be looking at that, and that also helps with the smaller field size too. There's a lot more of an opportunity for them to get that win, and especially the short track where you see almost no one's safe no matter how fast you are.
Absolutely. So Frank Sims qualifying right now in his number 75. Josh Adams in the 95. He's locked in. He's got a pair of victories this year, I believe, as he rolls out in his Best Buy 95 out onto the racetrack. Johnny Thomas in the 83. There's also a No Bull 4 tonight, Finian. So there's money on the line. Of course, I was instructed not to put the graphics on the screen because that comes secondary to the playoff picture. Sam Close in the 5. He's locked in. And currently provisional pull for him. Nick Miller out on the racetrack in the number 9. He is not in the playoffs. He could get his way in. And honestly, he'd be a pretty interesting pick to get in here tonight. Finds himself up front on occasion. And Matt Gruenberg did pop in here at the last second. So it looks like we will have the 54 contesting the victory tonight. James Miller in the 42, waiting to put down a lap in his machine, and he's a short track racer. He'll be pretty good tonight.
Yeah, that's actually key that Gruenberg's in here because obviously we've seen he's pretty fast. Last night didn't really do too hot, but you can argue that with all the damage, all the stuff, just the truck being really hard to drive as we saw last night, being a factor. Didn't really have the best of nights, but he's looking to get that win to tie with Frankenfield because Frankenfield has 5 wins as opposed to Gruenberg's 4, and that's extra bonus point to get at the start of the playoffs, which is very key. So he's trying to get that 5th win to tie it all up, and we'll see if he can do that.
So Josh Adams right now working his way through turns 3 and 4. Also the sunset, Finian. It's going to drive into the nighttime. You see Adams loose off at turn 4, slides into the fence, and that is actually going to cost him at least 1 lap and probably won't get another one here. So he did manage to reset before he crossed the line, so he might get another lap. We'll see if he goes, but look at the glare off the roof of this car. We saw this last night. The difficulty seeing for some drivers off into turn 3. That's going to persist through most of this 185-lap race.
Yeah, especially because, you know, when you're trying to make a pass or move around, or even worse, just trying to see a potential wreck happening in the entry of the corner, it's going to be very hard to see with that glare coming through your windscreen.
So only about half the field is laid down to qualifying time. Really no intense need. It's a short track. Passing's not too difficult. We got a lot of laps as Nick Miller logs a lap in his number 9. I think Johnny Thomas is actually the one that just got himself on the board here. New look for the 83 this week. Take a look at the sponsors on that car. Nice looking, kind of gray, ghosty looking paint scheme. Carhartt, the usual sponsor on the quarter panel this week. And he's going to roll through, and he'll be P5 in his qualifying effort. And taking a look at the lap times here, Finian, 17 seconds, 17.9. That's quicker than we saw last night. You see Johnny Thomas with the red banner. That is one of the No Bull 4 banners. He is one of the No Bull 4 drivers this evening. So keep an eye out for those red banners. Of course, everyone else running the typical blue ones. And you see the 52 just jump over. If we go down to the curbing in turn number 1, look at those curb stones. This was a problem last night. It was a problem in my testing when I went to go out and take the thumbnail for this race. Those curb stones are huge, and they are not fun to run over, so stay off of them.
Yeah, we see a lot of times, too, at Church X, guys get a little iffy with the... there's not really any set in stone, no pun intended, track limit. But... these guys, you typically see at short tracks a lot of guys cut down just a little bit, get a better line through the corner. You can't do that here. If you clip those stones, you're going to go flying off into the wall or spinning out. So you really want to make sure you keep off those things, at least in 1 and 2. And then even in 3 and 4, as you can see from the blimp shot, there's a wall right there protecting the apron. So you really can't run the apron around here no matter what side of the track you're on.
Yeah, so the turn 1 and 2 area, that's actually protecting the pit lane exit. So that's why they have such a aggressive curbing style down there. They don't want you below that white line because you could potentially hit cars coming off of the pit lane. And as the field grids up and gets ready to go racing, only 17 cars, actually make that 16 cars on the grid for tonight. And of course it is James Miller in the 42 that was able to sneak the pole away, I believe, at the last possible second. So Miller in that Tim Hortons 42 Mustang grids up on the front row. Of course, it's got one sim on the quarter panel of that car. The one sim cars have had a pretty decent year. Probably haven't gotten the victories that they're looking for, but kind of been in the hunt, and that's really all you can ask for. There's still a lot of racing left to go this season, and even if you're, especially if you're not in the chase or the playoffs, it makes winning, you're willing to make that gamble to get a race victory before the season's out. So keep an eye on this 42. Actually, the 42 car has been a victory lane in the truck series on a pair of dirt races earlier this season.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the 42 too of James Miller could easily get himself a win here after starting in the front, starting in first. So we should watch out for him. But then also a lot of guys, again, the other guys that are locked in, they're still competing for something. They're also competing for bonus points, as I was mentioning earlier with Matt Grunberg. So guys like Sam Close, he actually doesn't have a win. He's the highest points driver without a win. So he can easily get that elusive first win. And we saw him; he's been very close, but has not been able to seal the deal. Usually to bad luck.
Taking a look at our track conditions tonight, Fidian, very similar to last night. 82 degrees in the air, 91 on the racetrack. How much are the track conditions going to change, and how much is it going to affect the handling of these race cars?
Well, I definitely imagine it's going to go down as the night, as the sun begins to set and we go into the nighttime, and that should help these guys out, especially once they start putting more rubber down in the corners to work with. And I think we definitely saw that in last night's race too. It seemed to get a lot more quote-unquote drivable as the race went on, and it got easier to manage. But I have to keep an eye on these guys. It's a different package, different setup. And hopefully it's a little bit more easy for these guys to deal with.
Field rolling off of the pit lane. Pace car goes right over the top of that camera down there in turns 1 and 2. And of course, the camera's always done by Finney and DeCooney here. Nice job, Finney. Like these cameras here. Rolling off, and you see the 83 bouncing
Thomas
over the curbs.
Not caring about his suspension.
Well, or the bottom of the. Gotta be careful. You can hit the oil pan on these things too, so you gotta be real careful driving over those. Anyway, some housekeeping here this week on Sim TV. Lots of very interesting things going on. Tomorrow night, no fuel, but there is the Elite Modified Series, sponsored by Speed 51. It is a test race for the content that will eventually make its way over to the Speed 51 network the following week. Wednesday night, Spec MX5 Sim Racing Challenge on the Winding Road Magazine channel. That is from Watkins Glen. It's the penultimate race of the season, the last race of the regular season before we conclude at Road Atlanta. Then Thursday, we have the Prairie something or other dirt racing one-off that we did last year. Remember
Chase?
It's not called that anymore, but Prairie Dirt Classic, I think is what it's called this year at Ferrybury Speedway. Then Friday night, we're off. Saturday, we're back with ORL action from Silverstone. James Miller's going to lead us to the green flag. Starter's got the green flag in hand. When is he going to wave it? There it goes. Green flag flies, racing at Myrtle Beach.
Off everyone goes into turn 1. It's going to be Miller off in the corner. There's Justin Cove to the inside of Sam Close trying to take away that second spot.
Well, bit of action keeping the field. Carlos Acosta, bright yellow and black scheme on that car this week, dives to the inside. We saw a lot of cars losing control off into the corners last night on the brakes. I wonder if that's going to be a similar phenomenon. Luis Almaso in that 4 car on the outside. He's on the outside looking in the playoff picture. He needs 10 points on Jonathan Cogswell. So everyone in this playoff fight needs that 27 to have a bad night, and already as Cogswell runs, Salmaso would not quite be in because there's some drivers behind him. Whoa, he's loose! And through the middle, he gets split, and a big mistake there for the 4.
Yeah, and actually the guy he's racing with for that final spot is Acosta, and Acosta is 4 points ahead of him. So both the 24 and the 4 are racing also for their final spot.
Let's play on the side of that 24 car this week, and he moves his way up into 6th. And as it stands, I think, yeah, he'd be the one in to the playoffs as it runs right now. So we're going to keep you up to date on all those, especially you got to keep an eye on the halfway points as well. So Acosta works his way into 6th, now sets his sights on Johnny Thomas in 5th up the road. It's all James Miller leading the way. Chuck Sweeting in that 12th place in the number 26 Mystery Motorsports car, chasing a pair of Glory Motorsports machines.
And he's just trying to find a way in behind, way past them, or at least just trying to sell in behind them. Booster's 2 is also in the picture, but he's 20 points out. He's a little bit too far ways back. He's definitely going to need a win considering the low car count tonight.
Yeah, you can see that the suspension still is pretty rigid. I mean, this track is not smooth as we got one spinning up the road. It's the 75 of Frank Sims. He's not going to be able to save it. Into the fence he goes. And our first caution of the night is for the 75 of Frank Sims. And that car looking pretty well torn up. But short track here, Finney should be able to get that knocked out and relatively competitive again. Almost had it saved. And he had this thing knocked sideways for quite a while. And very similar to last time, I imagine, just charging the corner. Yep,
just went a little bit too hard into the corner. Almost had Savior, thought he was going to, and then overcorrected into the wall hard. That's going to be almost 9 over for the 75.
Yeah, this is when you get loose like this, sometimes it's better just to lock it down and keep yourself out of trouble. But tried to correct it, almost had it, and then just the wheel snapped back to the right, and right here is when he takes this hard impact into the fence. It was a pretty nasty lick here. Here's a slow motion. You see the rear suspension bouncing, and I want to go back and look at that a little slower as well. And just, straight into concrete. No safer barrier here. So let's just watch off into the corner. Watch the rear wheels here.
Yeah, I think just went too hard on the front brakes. Back end was still going, and around he went.
You can see him bouncing right here. The whole rear, and look how low the body is in the rear as well. It's almost on the ground. I'm wondering if there's some stuff in the rear end that's dragging on the racetrack maybe and making that even worse. Heading back up live, and Sims has yet to return to the racetrack, so might be night over for him.
Oh, and Tate Lytle isn't here because his stuff, his update was not downloading for him. That's unfortunate to see. I mean, he is locked in with 2 wins to his name, so doesn't have to worry about that, but unfortunately couldn't also be with us tonight.
So, first caution, 9 laps into the race here, Finney. We had 16 or 17 cautions last night. I don't think we're on pace to reach that.
These cars are looking a lot
more stable.
A lot more stable to work with. Yeah, we obviously, I think really Sims' thing was really due to overdriving, but the truck guys, they pretty much had nothing to work with. They were really struggling, and again, not to their own fault. I was looking at the incident list after the race. Almost every single caution except for 2 of them were caused by different drivers.
Really satisfying reflection off the flag right there. Got a very shiny flag handle on that thing.
I was going to say, someone should tell the guy he doesn't need to hold it up the entire caution.
You can put it down there, buddy. You're going to wear out your arm. So James Miller leads the way. This has been a strong run so far for this driver in the 42. And taking a look, he's led all 9 laps so far. What are the chances he wins and gets himself into the chase? It's looking really good right now.
If we have one of those, if we have a race like we did last night, where it's a myriad of cautions, he can probably be walking away with this due to just not a lot of passing going on. But he's looking pretty strong. And in fact, if you look at all the guys in the top 3, neither of them, if I'm not mistaken, Coben and Finn locked in.
Yeah, as well as Close, who's 4th, and Salmaso on the outside looking in. But all the drivers in that light blue color, they are locked into the playoffs for the 3WideRacing Cup Series in 2019. It's a season-long effort to get yourself in. All you needed to do is win a race. And we have 11 drivers that have either won or pointed their way in. Out of turn 4, coming back to the green, lap number 12, and Miller fires off, green flag back in the air.
Yeah, great start for him. He's got to just go over and do his outside as everyone else is getting sorted out. There you see Kyle Hanchuk. He could also benefit
sideways.
from
Holy
a win.
Cow, and here comes Finn up the inside.
And I imagine those probably just trying to force the issue all around the outside of the 40U, trying to take the lead, but it's going to cost him a spot as Kevin Finn gets on by.
The turn 4 close racing side by side. A very strange racetrack, very bumpy racetrack. And Kolb driving in on the outside. We saw this going to be a trouble spot last night, driving in deep on the outside lane. Saw some cars hit the wall, but also the visibility down into turn 3. That glare is going to get worse and worse as the night goes on. So you got to keep an eye that you're not running into the back of somebody. But still a battle for second between the 52 and 14.
Yeah, there's the
no! Finn up the racetrack. Tank slaps into the wall, and he's going to keep rolling.
Yeah,
but big damage to the right front.
Yeah, no caution, but yeah, as he said, the big hit to the wall. And you see Richard Hines and Jonathan Cogswell making their way on by.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and take a quick gander at that. It was just a tank slapper down into the corner.
Yeah, and just too hard in on entry, I think.
Yeah, drove in too deep underneath the 52 and just, did a good job hanging on to it, but that's going to hurt the handling of that race car.
I think might be pulling into the pits here. Might either take the required repairs or might just call it a night.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have much to benefit from staying out.
And the other thing is that by the time you fix that car, you're going to be 5-10 laps down, so it's not really worth it for the 14, I believe. Meanwhile, look at this battle for 8th place. Booster who's sweeting, Josh Adams, Acosta, all in a 4-car battle here. Remember, Acosta in that yellow and black 24, he's trying to get his way in, and right now Hanshaw will be the one with the spot.
Actually, not even Hanshaw will be holding it. It'll be James Miller. I think
if you count in leading the race, then absolutely, yes, Miller is the one locked in at the moment. Cruisers goes way up the racetrack, 3 wide for a moment, and the 95 clears the 94 and sets his sights on Acosta. Oh no, the 94 goes around in turn 1, backs into the fence, caution out. Turn 1, a trouble spot again tonight. Back, and very similar situation, I bet. Let's ride on board here.
It's getting out of that 3 wide scenario. It was amazing they didn't wreck there.
Ooh, was there contact?
Yeah, that was definitely contact, I think, from Cogswell, the way the car went around.
Off into the corner, was there? That was really egregious. Cogswell driving really hard off into the corner. Maybe just misjudging the 94. Maybe the 94 braked early, but he got in there really deep. It was a little early for the 94 maybe, but everyone has to tiptoe quite a ways to not overdrive the corner. So Cogswell got some blood on his hands early here, but again, fighting for his spot in the playoffs, and he's got to finish ahead of Hanshaw, Acosta, and Salmaso if he wants to guarantee himself. And actually, he's got to win the race if he wants to be sure about it, because there's a lot of cars in this race that are not locked into the playoffs. Field down on pit lane here. Not everyone has made a pit stop, but interestingly, one of the drivers that stayed out is James Miller, our leader. So some split strategies here. Acosta, he came in a little while ago, but this is kind of split up the strategy just a little bit. I'm curious to see how much tires are going to matter, because they did matter quite a bit last night.
So Acosta staying out in behind Miller, and really just needs those valuable points. Really needs to get in front of that 42 though, because he's actually kind of starting to look a bit like a threat.
Johnny Thomas, we know how good he is at short tracks. He's already locked in, but maybe he could get himself a victory here tonight, and that would just deny somebody else from getting in. So maybe the 83 will work his way up in there. Sits 4th right now. He started in 6th place. This is the highest he's run tonight, so we'll see if he can capitalize on it. Second caution of the night so far. We've had no lead changes up front. It's all been James Miller, led every single lap of the 21 we've completed so far. And Kevin Finn, Frank Sims officially out of the race in their respective cars. Finn and Sims both tank slapping the wall down in turn number 1, and the most recent casualty being that of the 94 Klusterhuis, who has his car mostly repaired. That back end not looking great, but thankfully you don't really need the rear end of the car a whole lot around a place like this.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is, again, the beauty of short tracks is the fact that, you can take, the cars can take quite a beating, and you don't really, as long as the handling and the engine's fine. The aero, not so much, particularly at a track like this. Like maybe Bristol, you would definitely need it because of the high speeds to the corners and the banking to really maximize that. But here, I don't really think you would need the aero that much. So you can afford to get quite a bit of damage. Not that you should really want the damage.
No, I think you're going to want to avoid that at all costs, but lights are out on the pace car once again, and James Miller, Finney and James Miller dropping down. Oh, he's back. The internet not stable.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say.
Oh, he's gone.
I was gonna say actually, I don't think he was.
Oh, he's back.
He's.
No, he's gonna lose connection.
Yeah, well, even before that, I think the Adams are gonna probably tell him to pull off
or disqualifying to get him off the racetrack before something happens here. This is gonna be really difficult for this restart to happen with all this. Oh man. And they're just kind of taking a guess at it. Acosta launches on the outside. This is going to get really dicey up here up front, and it looks like it's going to stabilize right at the right time, but Acosta is going to be able to take advantage of it and take the lead away, and James Miller not quite done blinking yet.
Yeah, not quite done. It looks like it's starting to stabilize out. This one really berserk under caution, so for the sake of everyone else in the front, he's doing good. Acosta going to be in the lead. That's going to be valuable. That's an automatic ticket.
Yeah, exactly. So the 42 had his automatic ticket. Now the 24 would punch his way in, but here comes Josh Adams down the outside of the 42, taking a run at the 42 of Miller. Remember, he's already won, so if he gets another one, it's going to deny somebody from locking their way in automatically.
And actually, I kind of hate to spoil, I guess, the party for the 42, but I was just checking with 3WideRacing rules, so you need to have 70% race participation up until this point, and Miller's only made 6 starts this season, so he's
not going to be qualified either way. Acosta slips. He's been really struggling in an outside lane. 3 wide out of turn 4, and Colm's going to get the short end of the stick here down through the grass. He'll save it. Good job saving that.
Could have been ugly for him, but he's going to get it back going. Going to lose a lot of spots in the process.
Yeah, Acosta really struggling right now on the outside. Just not a lot of grip up there yet. No rubber in the outside lane, so struggling to maintain pace and slipping into the hands of Kyle Hanshaw. So right now, the car that is sitting in the catbird seat would still be Hanshaw at the moment. Salmaso is ahead of them, but is 10 points back from the cut line, so has to be well ahead of Hanshaw and Acosta to have his spot tonight. Acosta drops another couple spots. And down to 7th after taking the lead away a couple laps ago, so a quick decline for 24.
Yeah, just was really struggling in the outer lane and was slipping and sliding, and that put him back in traffic where he is now. And definitely, it looks like the car that's out in front is the car that's best off compared to everyone else.
Second place heating up here, Josh Adams and Johnny Thomas. Thomas has been really good at the short tracks, at the dirt stuff, and the super speedway stuff. The 1.5 mile racetracks have not really been his bread and butter, so tonight is his time to shine, I think, sitting in the top 3 right now. And again, with some of our heavy hitters not here and out, it's a good opportunity to get yourself another W.
Speaking of our heavy hitters, Grunberg back in 15th.
I think he did this last night, just hung out at the back until the last 30 or 40 laps and then charged to the front, ended up with a pretty decent result. So I expect him to do the same thing tonight. He's got a huge point lead. All he really would need to do to give himself anything better would just be to win, to tie himself with Frankenfield.
Well, I was going to say, because he's got quite a big gap. He's 7 seconds behind the leader. That's almost half a lap here. So he's hanging back quite a bit.
Never know how much you're going to need. 10th place, Chuck Sweeting. In this 26 car, he's got that Mystery Motorsports Camaro in top 10, but Justin Colt trying to fight him for that. Taking off laps relatively quickly here. If it goes green to the end, it's only 46 minutes of racing. Second place, that battle heating back up, and looks like Salmaso running the high lane, trying to make something happen up there.
Yeah, we saw Acosta go up there to no avail, and actually looks like Thomas is going to give him the lane. He's going to chuck it into the corner here. We'll see if Salmaso can actually make that work. Indeed he is. Wow. Perfect pass on the 83.
Strong run for the 4 on the outside lane. He moves his way up into 3rd. And he started 4th. He's 3rd now, so he's gained exactly 1 spot. Across the line.
Yeah, so the way they're running right now, actually, Salmaso and Acosta would be tied. But I don't think they would be in front of Cogswell. Or actually, I think all 3 of them would be almost tied. So it is very close between them at the moment.
Halfway points going to be a necessity for some of these drivers tonight, especially for Hanshaw and for Salmaso. Salmaso, if he wins the halfway mark, he could put himself back in contention here. So he's got to really perform up until lap, what are we talking about, 92, 93?
More or less about, yeah.
37 laps complete here at Myrtle Beach in the final regular season race for the 2019 RaceKings Cup Series. And we've had our fair share of different fun track combos. The Truck Series more than the Cup Series, but this has been an interesting track this week. I didn't even know this place even existed. And it's a cool little racetrack, I gotta say. It's a unique shape. It's a challenging course to run, but the setup have been an interesting challenge this week. It's been very stiff in the trucks and also seems stiff in the Cup Series as well. Hines now getting passed by Sweeting and by Justin Kolbe. He's going to push the 2-car back to 11.
Yeah, I think Sweeting and really Hines, again, one of those drivers. And a lot of the drivers, again, all the numbers in blue, just kind of out there riding this race. Not a necessity for them unless they win. But more or less not going to get anything out of this because 11 of the 12 spots locked in. Only that last and 12th spot is what a lot of these drivers are going for.
Chuck Sweeting in the 26, taking a look at Nick Miller in the 9 off into turn number 1. Very different lines. Very wide racetrack here, and you can run pretty quick on each end of the racetrack, but I think the challenge comes how deep can you drive into the corner. It looks like you can drive a little deeper on the bottom than you can up top.
Yeah, but we've seen, though, quite a few guys driving in too deep and getting themselves involved in incidents. You see Kolbe to the inside of Nick Miller. We'll get him by. Here comes Richard Hines as well.
Love this livery on the 2-car. Yellow and blue always goes well together. Miller drives in deep right to the bumper of the 52, isn't able to room up out of the way, and now has the 2 of Hines right behind him.
To a lens flare from the sun, looking
so
beautiful.
Pretty. So Jonathan Cogswell, Finian, all he had to do tonight was really maintain his position. He's really struggling right now.
Yeah, he's gotten quite a bit of right front damage and just, he's not been going forward as Grunberg passes him. That puts him back in 14. The only guy behind him on the track is Oosterhuis, who's running in 15. So not a good night for the 27. And again, he's the guy who came in here in the playoff picture. However, Hanshaw, Costa, and Samaso running much better races than him.
And Samaso, again, I'm keeping an eye on this 4-car, because he's back 10 points in 15th in the standing. So he's got a lot of work to do. But like I said, if he gets up and potentially gets a top 2 or 3 by the halfway point, he could gain some points. The guys running to make it a lot closer race.
Yeah, best guy at the moment, but out of those 4 is Hanshaw, who's running in 5th, doing what he needs to do. So Samaso needs, and Costa for that matter, both need to hope that Hanshaw has something bad happen to him. Otherwise, he's going to be walking on with the spot no matter what they do.
95 got real close to the wall out of turn 4. Very different lines being run. They got painted lanes around here to tell where you are, but it's difficult to tell which lane is really the quickest. We've seen drivers all over this place.
I think you kind of also have to just really search around for the line. It seems to be almost ever changing. You see Samaso catch up to Joshua Adams in behind. He's starting to push to get by this 95. I think he realizes he really needs this win. It looks like he's got the pace for it.
Pretty quick right now. Last time through was actually the quickest car in the top 3. Johnny Thomas was a touch faster from 4th. And there is Thomas in that 83 car right behind him. Almost 50 laps into the race. It's ticking by very, very quickly, Finney. We've only had a pair of cautions so far for a total of 10 of our 48 laps. Had 2 lead changes up towards the front, but those were quickly extinguished by the 42 getting his lead back. That internet has stabilized for him, which is, I'm sure he's glad to see that. Yeah,
I'm sure he's glad too. He wasn't called to pull off the track because they will do that if it's bad enough. So he's lucky that he'll be able to stay in that position and continue to lead this race by a second, although the gap is starting to close down.
I want to jump briefly back to 12th place. That's Corey Lindsay in the 00. He is in, as well as Matt Grunberg, who's been one of the most successful drivers this season in terms of wins in top 5s and top 10s. Pretty much every category that 54 leads, with the exception of Chad Frankfield winning the most races. So Grunberg has taken a very interesting approach to this season. He's really spent a lot of his time at the back of the field this year, just staying out of the mess and just approaching at the end, driving through the field and then getting a top 5. And it's just been a great strategy for him. But come playoff time, he needs to race again. And I worry that he hasn't been as practiced up towards the front, running a race the traditional way. And I think that's going to be a hindrance when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, I just hope that it doesn't hinder him down, because I think really this chase is setting off to be a battle between those 2 guys. I mean, you look at the wins column, it's 5 for Frankenfield, 4 for Grunberg, then 2 for Lytle, 1 for Justin Kolbe, and 1 for Josh Adams. So, with most of those guys, essentially, when NASCAR had the big 3, we had the big 2
yeah, this
between
is
them.
This is the 15th race of the season, and Grunberg and Frankenfield combined to win 9 of the 15 or the 14 that we've run so far. So, obviously, they've got kind of a chokehold on the rest of the field. Salmaso's got a chokehold on the third spot right now, and Johnny Thomas drives in really deep into the corner, tries to get to the inside, but no avail there.
Yeah,
slip up.
Yeah, Salmaso, he's got a bit of right rear damage. Wonder where he got that from. If it was from some contact with the 83, but Salmaso's been backing up the middle of the corner, and Thomas has been sticking his nose. He now goes to the outside, and Salmaso's going to let him on by.
Yeah, so Johnny Thomas up to third, but he's going to lose it in turn one. He's going to try to save it. Don't tank slapper to the wall again. Oh. Same thing that happened to Kevin Finney. Almost had that save, Finian, but couldn't quite do it.
As soon as he made the pass, too, so went out to third, immediately was back all the way down at ninth, fighting with Justin Coe for that 8 spot.
Well, if there's good news, it's that most of the damage was taken by that right rear quarter panel, which at any other racetrack would be a death sentence, but not here at Myrtle Beach. So he should be able to continue, and as long as that steering is relatively straight, he'll probably have a little bit of speed left in the car. But Salmaso heated the spot, and then watch that 83 car go straight into the fence. So a cautionary tale there as the battle for third extinguishes as quickly as it started. I'm closing this 5. A pretty decent season, but probably would like to log a couple more victories.
Well, a victory in general. Again, one of the highest leading driver to not in points, not to have a win, has been really looking for that win this season. Had 4 top 3 finishes, so he's been up there in the mix, but again, just has not been able to get that win. We saw him close at Michigan.
And it's Richard Hines in the 2. Ooh, he's got some front end damage. He's around in the back straightaway.
And judging by the tire marks, it looks like he just went up into the wall, maybe loose in 1 and 2.
Same story, different car this time, off into turn 1. And he's going to probably drive in real deep off into turn 1 and just... Oh, yeah. It snapped early, and he actually didn't get that sideways until right at the end. You see people fighting to get control of the car, and whoo, that was Nick Miller that just slid on by through there. He was already kind of committed to the top, and right through the gap. I want to ride on board with the 2 car off into the corner, and I want to watch his hands here. So this is exiting turn 4. You can see we're on the gyro cam. You can already see how bumpy it is. Then we're going to get off into the corner and just watch his hands. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slip, and he just corrects to the right, and he has to chase it up the hill. And right there, you see the car already sliding, and just a slight correction to the right, and just takes off. And now you're just trying to drive it up the hill. And now you're just getting behind in the steering, and one a little too far to the right and into the fence.
Yeah, the hardest thing when you're trying to protect a car, save a car from a slide, you got to be kind of almost 2 steps ahead of where the car is going to point. You know, when you make a correction to the wheel, you got to figure out what's the car going to do after and adjust. But race off pit road's going to be James Miller back out in front ahead of Josh Adams, Luis Amasso, so not a whole lot of change. Whoa! Yeah. Amasso just went for a ride over the bumps. Oh, I want to catch a replay of that. That was interesting.
We'll take a quick look here. Do slow motion. Just oh wow, yeah. Hold on, let's get a little bit better look at this here. As he was coming out of the pit lane and slid up onto the racetrack and
oh yeah,
yeah. Oh wow, so, that's not good because you can really damage your race car by doing that. And here it is again. He's all 4 tires off the ground at one point here. Yeah, that's really not good. More look from a different angle here.
Yeah, and I think he just was being more cautionary on the left side wall. Which I can't blame him. It's a very tight exit on pit road.
Yeah, we'll just watch on board with what it felt like to be inside that car. Oh, that hurts. That hurts my spine looking at that. Ugh. Not really what you want to be doing with the underside of the car. Hopefully there's no lasting damage, but I'd be worried about the oil pan. Thankfully, it looked like he got it with more like the rear suspension components more than anything. But if you do that to the front of your car, you could blow your engine pretty easily on that. So a couple more cars staying on pit lane for some extended service here. And taking a look, it looks like everyone did come down that time.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we didn't have a pretty solid green flag run.
Well, it's going to be a 30-lap, or a little bit less than 30-lap run to the halfway mark here. I think that's the race for drivers like Salmaso. He's just racing to that halfway mark and trying to accumulate as many points as he can to catch up to Acosta, Hanshaw, and Cogswell.
Yeah, problem is, Hanshaw was probably one of the best drivers off in this race so far. He's right in behind Salmaso, though. That's going to definitely help him, although, again, he's really going to have to hope for Hanshaw to bottle it within the next 30 laps before we get to halfway. Otherwise, Hanshaw's going to get a nice, cool 7 points to his name.
Field doubling back up for the restart. Couple of cars tacking on to the end here. Klusterhuis, Johnny Thomas, Miller, and more. Out of turn 4, though, it's going to be James Miller leading the way. He's led the most laps tonight. Green flag back in the air, racing again, lap number 65.
A fantastic start for James Miller off into turn 1. No one even close to him, as Adams, Hanshaw, Sweeting, and Salmaso sort themselves out.
Sweeting up the racetrack out of turn 2. He got a little bit of a stack up behind him. Salmaso dropping down the order. Ooh, is there a problem? There's a problem with this Ford car, I think.
Oh, no. Yeah, he's really slow on all the pace. He's getting freight trained on the outside, so something did happen to that car.
Yeah, he's definitely lacking power. I told you got to watch the oil pans on these things, and I'm pretty sure he smacked it, and he's either leaking oil or has some issue with this race car, because he is not up to speed right now. Not what we wanted to see for sure. Oh, Corey Lindsay had to check up. That's going to stack up a couple cars out of turn 2.
And he prevented it from being a wreck. That could have been close there.
And turn 4, and Miller up the road leads the way. Some action towards the rear of the pack here. Miller up way high in the racetrack. Richard Hines still 1 lap down. So these guys are, the 9 and the 2 are fighting for the free pass position. My expectation is that they're not going to back down if they get near each other, but right now I think Miller's got the quicker car. He's going to try to pull away here. Jumping back up to 3rd, Hanshaw sits.
Oh, I saw behind Justin Gold was all the way out of the groove. That's going to check off the 5 and the 24 and behind him.
Acosta drove in really deep onto the corner of that 5.
Oh, he's still over the back bumper of that 5. Almost was close to hitting him.
Oh, Sweeting up the road, spinning in front of the racetrack. Does he save it? On the apron, he's going to stop, and our 4th caution of the night will come out on lap number 70. And this is probably the same situation. Driving in too deep again, and it's definitely, they're getting a chance to save it tonight, but just getting behind in the steering and around they go. It's so hard to save a car at such low speeds there, Finian. So Sweeting goes for a loop. That Mystery Motorsports car in 13th place right now. Well, it certainly is pretty out here, I'll say that.
Almost too pretty. It's really, but that is really bright.
So field comes back down the pit lane, or at least the drivers towards the rear of the field do. Up front, Miller still leads the way. Hanshaw, Kolb, Acosta, Close, Gruenberg. Some shuffling on pit lane as some of these cars come to pit road to receive their service.
Yeah, we were talking about, too, before that caution came out, about the free pass. With the caution, they'll give the free pass to Nick Miller, so 14 cars will be in the lead lap.
Gruenberg pops out. He'll be inside the top 10 tonight. We haven't really seen a lot of this 54 yet. He's been as low as 17th, only as high as 8th, which is where he's running right now. So it'll be under a 20-lap run now to the end of the halfway point, and now Kyle Hanshaw sits in a place to pick up a bunch of points. And he's got a couple spots on Acosta as well, so if Acosta drops back a few and Hanshaw finishes top 2 in this halfway point, he's going to be way ahead in the points picture.
Yeah, let's not forget, too, Hanshaw got the win last night in the Truck Series, so is looking to actually do the sweep, and so far looking like he's got a car that's able to at least be in the front, not necessarily lead, because he's going to have to wrestle it away from the 42 of James Miller, who's been pretty dominant so far in this race. I think he's led almost every lap, if not...
69 of 73 laps led here at Myrtle Beach. And make that number 70 as he comes across the line. Taking a look at our race information, 4 cautions for a total of 20 laps. 2 lead changes. Miller's been in control for all but that short stint, but Acosta had the lead. All cautions here at Myrtle Beach. We made a mention about this last night.
Yeah, we mentioned it last night. I guess they tack on the extra lap and just do it being short track and for guys to get back around. It takes them a lot longer.
Pace car needs a new light pattern.
We need a new pace car.
Yeah, also fair.
Because we've had... this thing has been the pace car forever.
I asked Drew Adamson about the pace car situation, like why couldn't we get a Camry or something? And he said that it was like they had to like license the whole thing all over again. I'm like, I mean, when you license the Toyota Camry stock car, you have to license the name Camry from Toyota, right?
I guess that's not their. I guess you need a separate license for their actual sedan model.
Yeah.
Because you're scanning a different car, although it's the same name. So.
Anything but you give us the Silverado as an option.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That thing's big.
It's a Chungus, that car. All right, well, coming out of turn 4, just under 20 laps, about 18 or so until we have the halfway mark, and green flag back in the air. James Miller leads us down. He's been dominant tonight. Can he hang on?
Yeah, he's got Justin Cobe and Kyle Hanshaw behind him, trying to hold him off. Hanshaw trying to wrestle that second place spot away from Justin Cobe, but Cobe's strong on the inside. Here comes Acosta.
Ooh, turns him! The 46 going to spin up the racetrack, and into the wall he goes. And two drivers that are on the playoff cut line got together down there in turn 3. Kyle Hanshaw is having such a flawless race so far. Some big damage on the left front there.
Yeah, that's exactly what Acosta and Salmaso needed.
Let's go back and take a look at this. I think this is pretty self-explanatory here, Finian. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think Tony Ford drove in way too deep.
Yeah, the 95, also big damage on his car as well. But yeah, this is, you know, I don't think Acosta meant to get in there and turn him, but he drove in really hard and turned the 46 around.
Yeah, I think saw the hole, was trying to aim for the inside, but was on the brakes, hitting the car didn't rotate as much as he would have liked, and went into the core of Kyle Hanshaw, and that's going to effectively take that 46 out of the playoff spot, considering how well he was running.
Yeah, it's not the right front damage I'm concerned about, it's the left front where he got hit by the 95 of Josh Adams. That was a pretty heavy impact for the 95. Here's his view of it. Got kind of a double
straight
whammy
on the wheel.
here.
Yeah. I'd be surprised if he doesn't have handling damage from that. Right in the wheel well.
How quickly things happen.
Yeah.
Oh, driver side impact for the 46 as well. Well, he's back out on the racetrack, albeit very damaged. We're racking up caution number up to number 5 already. Closing in on 100 laps to go. Timer ticking down, about 31 minutes remaining if we were to go green to the end. And your Miller, there's a Rick Allen moment right there for anybody watching. Progressive goes around. James Miller has led 75 of our 79 laps. So he's led all but 4. And I have yet to see anybody even remotely challenge him for the lead on the longer run.
Yeah, there's been a lot of comers and goers. Kobe has really stayed in the front of the field, but not, I wouldn't say, it has a top 4 car in that 52, but I don't think a car to win this race. I would have said Hanshaw had a pretty decent car, but he got out of it. Same thing with Salmaso. So, yeah, I don't know who's got what it takes at this point.
Johnny Thomas in the pit lane. He's been kind of on and off the pit lane quite a bit tonight, repairing damage from his incident that he had. I'll also take a look at the No Bull 4 drivers, because James Miller is also one of those at the red banner on his car.
Yeah, he can easily be walking out of here with some cash with the way he's been running, and I'm sure he wants to keep it that way.
Johnny Thomas, another one of those drivers. I think that's there's the only 2 that we have left, is just between the 42 and the 83. So although the 42 can't lock himself into a playoff spot tonight because he's not eligible due to not having the minimum starts, he can win himself some cash, and you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to go out and try to do that, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, one of the dominant cars here tonight, unless he gets into an incident, which, as we've seen, almost no one's safe. And also looking to join the party up there. It's 54 right in behind him, his teammate. So we'll see if Grunberg has anything to show, anything that he's been hiding so far in this race.
Interesting that he's lined up. I was going to wonder why he took the outside lane, but he's got his teammate lined up behind him. We know that's going to be a good pairing there. And ooh, Kolb does not get going at all on the restart.
See the Grunberg working with his teammate to time that start to perfection. Grunberg's going to easily get second place away from the 52. Is he going? However, is Grunberg going to sit in behind the 42? Remember, he doesn't necessarily need to win this race.
He doesn't at all need to win this race.
But it'll definitely help him in the playoffs with an extra win for bonus points.
Off into turn 1 now, the 5 a close, and Cogswell side by side. Cogswell trying to defend his current situation in the playoffs. Remember, he walked in inside looking out, +1 over Hanshaw. And right now, Hanshaw is behind him due to that accident, so Cogswell is pretty safe at the moment. exception.
Yeah.
And Acosta is ahead of him.
Yeah, Costa's ahead of him, but again, not by much or enough to really get him. So Cogswell can stay here, and it doesn't look like he'll be able to, as a lot of guys are freight training to the inside.
This has really not been his car and track combo, has it? He's really struggling to get this car rotated through the center and get off the corner, and he's getting passed left and right here. Not, you know, there's some racetracks just click with drivers. I don't think this one's clicking for the 27.
Yeah, remember, too, we're going to get the halfway at lap 93, completing lap 93. And he's starting to fall down the order. Costa, however, is running in fourth. That's going to be 6 points, or so 7 points going to that 24's name.
And that will, of course, put the 24 as they run. Should pretty much get close to tying up the point situation.
Yeah. So Costa's doing what he needs to do. Cogswell needs to just try to hang on for another few laps. He's in 8th right now, so we'll get 3, but he's got Klusterus and Miller right in behind him.
15 cars strong after starting with 17. We've only lost 2. Thankfully, this track is so short and so slow that if you get spun around, you probably won't hit anything too hard. The problem is these walls are concrete, Finian, and those will really hurt your car if you get into them, even at 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. Sweeting all sorts of sideways off of turn 4.
Yeah, took half the front straightaway, as small as it is, to save it, and was able to keep going ahead of Johnny Thomas.
Bloomberg right on the bumper of James Miller. And Klusterus sliding down the order. He's gotten shuffled out. Couple laps to go till that halfway mark, and Klusterus is really struggling now.
Yeah, everyone getting bottled in behind the 9 as well. Top 8 have pretty much broken away at this point.
Miller and Lindsay, some teammates fighting for 9th place. Hanshaw trying to get some spots back, drives in pretty deep to the bottom of the double zero.
Hanshaw, again, this is key because he's trying to break inside the top 10. I'll at least give him something to work with considering his damaged car and the state that it is.
He's running out of time. Remember, these halfway points going to be so important for the 46 to get, and he's got to get inside the top 10 to even score them.
Yeah, 3 laps to halfway when they come across the line this time by.
Lines on the inside of the 94. Kluster, who's a bobble for both of those cars out of turn 4. Meanwhile, the lead, battle for the lead. Looks like Miller is going to give it away to Gruenberger. Is he going to fight it back? He's going to try outside of turn 4. 2 laps to the end of the stage. Side by side, the one sim cars, and here comes Cole to break up the party.
Kova also trying to get into this mix as well. And he's also been looking pretty strong as of late.
Miller drives in hard into turn 3 and trying to hang on to second, and he will. Final lap of the first half of this race. Points awarded at the end of it. And Hanshaw has been shuffled back to 11th, so he's not going to score points at the halfway mark. But Acosta is going to score a couple, as will the 27 of Cogswell. So, and Salmaso it will not either. So this is going to severely reshape the points picture. Across the line they go.
Ah. And you can see, too, Gruenberg leading till halfway and then pulling out a line for his teammate to go on through.
Acosta was P4, so that should give him 6 points. 6 points to... 7 points to...
Cogswell's 3.
Cogswell's 3. So now the gap is really only 2 points between them, I believe. No, 3 points. Or 3 points. 4. 2. 7 points.
He's 6 behind Cogswell.
Yep. Hold on, that was not what I wanted to do. Math. 6 behind Cogswell. Acosta just gained
7. Ooh, his
so
Miller just slapped the wall.
Yeah, so your leader just got into the fence, but so that actually puts Acosta +1 right now. So the picture has changed. The 24 car is now the one to beat. I think we got that right. We did a live calculator.
I don't think so. Cogswell got 3, so that puts him 9. He's 2 behind. Acosta's 2 behind.
I see. Okay, 2 behind. As they run, if they were to finish as is, they're separated by 2 positions on the racetrack. Acosta 6th, Cogswell 8th. Acosta sliding back. Ooh, he just got in the fence.
Yeah.
Got some big right side damage on that 24.
Yeah, it's not looking good for him, although he did get those valuable points. So, and again, right now he's still in behind Cogswell, who's running right in behind him. So, getting very close on the track between these two. Although it looks like he's in danger of getting passed by Cogswell.
Cogswell's actually started to kind of figure this place out. I mentioned about 20, 30 laps ago that he hadn't quite sorted it out. And ooh, Acosta hits the curbstones on corner exit, slides up the racetrack, and here comes Cogswell to the inside. Battle for 6th place and a battle for the playoff spot. Cogswell didn't get off the corner very well. Now Chuck Sweeting is going to break into the picture. These two jockeying for position. 85 laps to go. Carlos Acosta, he did lead a lap earlier also. 3 laps, in fact, so he will get a point for that, so that only makes the gap 1 point.
So right now he would be in a tie.
So basically, with not considering the running order, basically Acosta and Hanshaw basically swapped positions in the playoff picture. Miller out front. He got into the wall a couple laps ago, but he still leads over his teammate by 0.4 of a second. How about Sam Close, Johnny Thomas? That fight for 4th place heated up, and now they've traded. Ooh, Sam Close. Is this new damage for you? Where did the 5 get all that?
That's definitely new.
I did not see this a few laps ago. Unless this is from, we haven't looked at him in a while. Maybe it was from that, I think it was from that incident with the 95 and the 46 off in turn 3. So the 5 car, that's been there for a little while. We just haven't taken a look at him in a bit. So laps running out here, Finian. About 82 to go. 25 minutes of racing remaining.
And from the looks of it, looks like Grunberg's backed off from the 42. Is happy with leading at halfway to get that extra bonus point for that for the playoffs. So Grunberg, I think, satisfied for the rest of his race. At least for now. He might come back at the end to try to nab the win away from his teammate. But yeah, Costa and Cogswell still going at it. And I was looking at the top 5s for both these guys. If they were to tie, and I imagine they would go straight to top 5s, it would be in Acosta's favor. So that 24, though, needs to stay in front of Cogswell, at least according to our math. Which you shouldn't trust.
You definitely don't trust our math. Side by side, though, for 6th place. We saw what happened earlier when Acosta was fighting with the 46. There was contact there. Cogswell way down the inside. Acosta way up on the top. Oh, they get together. The 27 slips and slides, but the 24 got in the wall really hard off turn 2.
Oh, that might be all she wrote for now, at least, as Acosta is now in danger of getting passed by Sweeting.
Here's a look. From up high above, I think it'd be easier to get a better look at how vicious this impact was. Throttled up a little early, bounced off the fence. Ooh, almost hooked the 27 into the fence, but they'll continue. Miller, low off turn 4. Under attack now from Corey Lindsay, Richard Hines, Kloosterhoos is in there as well. And ooh, that got a little dicey. There's the 95, splitting him up the middle. That's Josh Adams. He's not been able to recover. He's still a lap down after that incident in turns 3 and 4 with the 46 car.
Yeah, the night to forget for the 95. But again, just looking bigger picture past this race. I'm sure just want to get this round over with.
Back up for 7th place. Acosta and Sweeting, they got real tight again off turn 2.
Acosta's really just fighting to make sure he doesn't lose sight of that 27 as there's a car smoking. Or there was a car smoking at one point, don't know who it was.
Yeah. Ooh, it's down the apron.
I think it's Kloosterhoos.
Yes, it is. 94 car out of the race with a blown motor, and I'm going to guess this was perhaps from the damage he had earlier. Or maybe did he hit one of those curbstones?
I wonder if the engine just went completely on him with the damage he had.
Yeah, just went completely. So the 94 are going to be done for the night. Disappointing end to the 94's run. And Corey Lindsay, Corey Lindsay and Nick Miller, teammates here fighting for 12th. Not been a blurry motorsports night towards the rear of the field.
Yeah, I'm sure they're, again, also just trying to figure out the track. Oh, I saw Nick Miller just throw it into the corner. He got a little bit loose, and here comes Lindsay back at him.
Back up at the front of the field, Grunberg beginning to put pressure on James Miller. Teammates for now, how long will Grunberg remain a teammate for?
I think he'll try to stake him behind the 42 as long as he can, and then really when he needs to, he'll make the pass. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see. He's in a weird situation with him because it's his teammate. Doesn't necessarily have to win, but it would help him out if he does. But then he's taking away his teammates' win and also a chance of money. So it's a lot of factors being thrown into here.
Curious what these guys have been pretty light on the brakes tonight. I'm just curious if there's a whole lot of brake heat riding on board with James Miller. And they're just dragging him. They're not really getting any brake heat in these cars. But the suspension is working really hard, very stiff in the rear, but pretty soft looking up front here. Pretty compliant. Lights have come on here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. And the battle for the lead is on, but also for 8th place. Remember this one? Acosta and Hanshaw. The last time these guys were side by side, there was contact. I wonder if Hanshaw wants to get Acosta back.
I'm sure he might want to, unless he's gotten over it. We'll have to see when he gets on by.
think it heavily depends on if there was an apology before.
Yeah. Ooh, and Acosta into the wall again. He's been really struggling at 46.
Remember, Acosta scored the most halfway points of anybody, so he's got, handshot downshifting potentially there.
Yeah, I think this is helping them rotate the car, because remember, I imagine it has some sort of handling damage with that car.
Ooh, Acosta in the wall again. This car is not going to last. Keeps abusing that right side. That is all torn up. This is making me a little nervous. Antra driving in deep, right to the rear bumper. For the playoffs, are you willing to wreck your friend? Are you willing to wreck a competitor? Or are you willing to wreck your mother, as Tony Stewart would say? I think Acosta's mistake earlier, I guess, puts him on Hanshaw's radar.
I guess that depends on how much you value that person.
I know, it totally depends on that.
And I guess if they're more forgiving than others, so well, yeah, I guess that kind of weighs into it. But yeah, I mean, they obviously could do it, but they also have to be careful because they can easily risk a penalty by doing that. So
yeah, that might not be something Hanshaw wants to delve into right now, but it looks like Acosta's going to slip up, and Hanshaw's just going to take the opportunity to drive underneath him.
And here's the problem for Hanshaw too. Remember, Cogswell got 3 bonus points to his name, so he's now so Hanshaw is 4 points behind Cogswell. So we'd have to finish 4 places up on the 27, who's already in 6th place. So that would mean Hanshaw would have to finish probably 2nd. So it's not looking too good for Hanshaw at the moment.
Who is behind the cut line? Hanshaw, Acosta, and Salmaso. How are they running? Hanshaw, Salmaso, Acosta, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Funny how that always seems to work out.
Yeah, definitely funny, although every single one of these guys is on a different agenda at this point in the race just due to the damage they've gotten. You see Salmaso still struggling with his car after he was running really well early on. But got that damage potentially off a pit road. We're not entirely sure on that, but it definitely probably put some money on it. Hitting those rocks messed up his car power-wise, and has really struggled with that ever since.
All the lap times right now within about 2 to 3/10 of a second, so a very close field around here. Getting kind of stacked up towards the 9th and 10th spot, but it's still Miller out in front by half a second. Closing in on 60 to go, so really running down the laps very, very quickly. It's a quick race tonight. We've had 5 yellows for a total of 26 laps, 4 lead changes up front. Acosta, Gruenberg, and Miller have been the only leaders tonight. Look at the 95. He's still got some speed left in this car. He just needs a caution to get himself back on the lead lap. Salmaso dropping down the order here on the timing and scoring. Wonder if he's got a hardware issue.
Yeah, he just proved off the track, so unfortunately for him, I'm not sure he's going to get back in or not at this point. I don't think it'll even matter.
No, he's already scored 1 lap down, so Salmaso loses connection, and that's pretty much going to seal the fate for him. Will not be in the 2019 RaceKings Cup Series playoffs. That spot still in contention, though, between Cogswell, Hanshaw, and Acosta. And Cogswell, if he wants to defend that spot, he's doing a great job doing it. He's recovered from his early poor run up to 6th place, and currently the highest of the drivers that are on our playoff cut line figure there. So Cogswell right now is in as it runs, and I think if he finishes ahead of Acosta by more than 2 or 3 spots, he's really locked himself.
Yeah, which amazes me. At the start of this night, it looked like the other 3 guys had a better shot than him, and here he is back after the second out this race, and he looked like he might maintain that spot.
But
so
no
funny
mistakes.
how things turn out. But yeah, again, he can't afford to make a mistake. He's, I guess, quote unquote, lucky that in the 46, the 24, and the 4 all ran into problems of their own with their cars. And he's now just reaping the benefits from that.
Well, your leader, James Miller, he has led 122 of our 129 laps, and Matt Gruenberg wants to change that figure. He's led only 3, but he's got 4 wins to Chad Frankenfield's 5. Frankenfield not here tonight. This is an opportunity for Gruenberg to tie it up and walk into the playoffs side by side with his fellow competitors. So I don't think he's going to let Miller run away with this or even
I think,
get the win. He's going to go after it.
I think he might stay behind him for now, but when it comes down to it, I think he's definitely going to at least fight with him fairly. Of course, he's not going to wreck his teammate for the win, but he's going to at least fight with him for it.
That was Nick Miller going a lap down. It's on the outside of Gruenberg. The sun has gone below the horizon. The lights are on here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. And we're closing in on 50 laps to go now. It's amazing how quickly they tick off here. Best lap times on the left-hand side of your screen, a 17:8:01. And I think that is the quickest we've seen James Miller, the quickest car on the racetrack, and he's shown it. He's led the most laps tonight and has clinched that figure easily. For the lead, though, that got tight. Miller tried to close the door on Grunberg.
This is what we saw earlier. I can't remember who it was. Leaving the door open. I think it was Salmaso and Thomas going at it. Was leaving that inside lane open, and the guy in behind was just looking every single time. You see Grunberg kind of prodding that 42. He's giving him the line, and Grunberg trying to go for it.
Is the outside a place to defend here? It looks
Yes.
like it is. Grunberg had to jump on the brakes there to not slide up into the 42.
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where on the outside lane you can pretty much pinch the guy to the inside down and kill his momentum off the corner. And I think that's what Miller is just trying to do, keeping Grunberg in behind.
Chuck Sweeting is down to pit lane. I'm not sure if this is a scheduled stop or not. Taking a look. Ooh, we've been out here for 74 laps, so possibly. So Sweeting on down to the pit lane for service. I think you could go a lot more than 75, 76 laps, though. But maybe just running it backwards to the end?
They might not be able to make it to the end entirely, so it might just be cutting it in half here.
That would be a pretty even split to where the 26 came in before. So 50 laps to go. Miller and Grunberg, the one sim teammates, lead the way. Johnny Thomas sits third, and that's a dark horse there. If there's a yellow, that 83 is going to be in a good spot to try to take the lead away. Justin Kolb now hits pit lane, a couple others, but the battle for the lead continues. We don't want to pull away when these guys are fighting. These one sim cars, they're going to be willing to battle each other on the racetrack. I don't think they're going to just sit in line anymore. Grunberg is now actively fighting for the lead.
Yeah, trying to go for it to the inside of his teammate Miller, defending on the outside, trying to get his first win of the season.
I think he knows we're running out of time. We go green all the way to the end, 14 minutes. That's not a lot of time on the racetrack, so I think Grunberg knows he's going to have to make this move sooner or later. He's going to try to make it now. Making me nervous. The entering high up there in turns 1 and 2, that's been the trouble spot all weekend long for these guys.
It's been working out so far. Yeah, Grunberg's really been chucking it in there. Yeah, the concern is that he chucks it in a little bit too far one time, and both of them go spinning. I'm sure that's what neither of them want, but here comes Grunberg hard in turn 1. He's definitely been charging it a lot more in entry in 1 than in 3.
And as a team owner, you never want to see these cars go side by side off into a corner like this, because if the 54 slips, they're both going for ride, and Johnny Thomas might find himself atop the scoring pylon here by the end of the race.
Yeah, and also as a team owner, you want that 54 to just get on by. You want the 42 to yield. But obviously, no team orders in NASCAR, especially in this, in a sim.
No team orders here. You're just going to go for it. And side by side to the lead, they continue their battle. And last time by, Grunberg was quicker, but Miller still leads the way. There, the 54 finally nosing ahead off into turn number 3.
Oh, you see 42, he's pinching down in hard, but Grunberg's been a little bit better on the inside. No, can't get the run off. Miller's going to pinch him on down. They're going to be side by side.
Oh, no! They crash! No! They crash out of turn 4. Caution out. They both back into the wall.
Oh!
And exactly the scenario that they didn't need to see. The teammates come together on the front straightaway.
That's not something you see every day.
No. What happened here with only about 40 laps to go? The teammates that had a stranglehold on the field wrecked at the front. 42 bounced off the wall.
Oh, wow.
And took them both out. Now the 54 just spun. He didn't hit anything. But the track position is what's going to hurt them. There's not a lot of time left in this race. Wow. Dramatic moment there.
It's kind of amazing how much the 42, bounced off the wall.
Yeah, he hit it. It was a pretty funky impact there. Let's ride on board here with the 42. I wanted to just get a look. Find him on the timing and scoring screen. Oh, he's still leading the race. That would be why. Right on board the gyro cam here. Yeah, he didn't even have the wheel turn. I think maybe, how short tracks have their walls, it was just kind of a little bit of a ramp and kind of made the steering do something funky here. But it looked like the 42 was able to hang on to the lead and was able to come down and get 4 fresh tires and stay in the lead other than Nick Miller staying out.
He does not have a rear wing.
We're spoiler, they call it, in the stock car side.
I mean, wing spoiler can be interchangeable.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think the stock car purists would be pretty upset with you, though.
It's good
The COT had a wing.
It's screw the stock car enthusiasts.
40 laps to go, and the leaders came together, and that hurt the 54 quite a bit more than it did the 42. But is there any damage on that 42 that we have to be concerned about?
I mean, I don't see anything. Maybe with the right front contact made with the wall, that was pretty light, and then you just backed it into the rear. So it shouldn't really be too much to worry about. Again, just the lack of a spoiler. If that'll do anything to him. So we'll see if he can continue on at the pace that he was doing earlier. Got Johnny Thomas, though, right behind him in second.
So through all that battling, Grunberg didn't lead another single lap. It was the 42 at the line the whole time. So that tells me you want to be on the outside, I think. I think that's the place to defend, and Miller was getting those good runs off the corner.
Oh, and in all that, Cogswell is a lap down in 13th, the last car on the track. Don't know what happened to him.
Well, that's not what you wanted to see for Cogswell.
Yeah, and it's not like he's even... like, I think he... You know what I think it might have been? He might have been in for his pit stop.
Could have been, yeah.
Or came into his pit stop.
Take a look at our stint information here. 9 laps.
Well, that's not... was it 9 laps?
Yeah.
So he came in before that caution came out.
So he got trapped a lap down.
He got trapped... I think he was 2 laps down. He's going to get one of them back here, but it's still a lap down.
Wow.
So that's going to be big.
Bad timing for the 27.
Yeah, really, really bad timing, especially because we're seeing that these guys are going a lot more green. Will they go green all the way to the end?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
They might.
They could. I just don't think they will.
I don't think there's really that many enough cars to coast them. But
no, but everyone's going to drive a lot harder now, and there's drivers that...
Hanshaw is up in 3rd place,
yeah.
so this
how the turntables.
On that note, green flag back in the air.
Launching off, Johnny Thomas on the outside lane. How will that spoiler affect, or the lack of the spoiler affect that 42? And look at the run off the corner. And remember, these guys are fighting for the No Bull 4 prize. The red banners on the windshields, these top 2 cars going for an extra cash prize. And for Kyle Hanshaw, chance sweeping around. And he's going to try to escape before the caution came out. He was not able to make it.
Oh, yeah, you can see in the background, he got something off 2.
So Kolb in front of him.
Got
loose, yeah.
Wow.
And tank slapped big against the inside wall and was trying to get off the racetrack before the caution flew, wasn't able to do so. This gives us another second to kind of digest the situation here points-wise. So Carlos Acosta was able to close in within 1 point of Cogswell. So basically, between Cogswell and Acosta, it was whichever one finished ahead. Right now, that's Acosta very clearly. The other question, though, is Hanshaw. He was 5 points ahead of Acosta before, and actually he didn't score any halfway points, though.
So Costa's ahead of Hanshaw on the points, but after halfway,
right?
As they run,
I think it's Hanshaw that's in.
Oh, holy crap!
It is really confusing out here right now, and I doubt the drivers know the situation. Yeah, so Hanshaw didn't get halfway points. Carlos Acosta got 7, so that gave Acosta 7 points on Hanshaw, which will put him 2 over Hanshaw. So Hanshaw is now 3 positions above Acosta. So it's a 1 point to the good for Hanshaw right now. I did that right. And Acosta has a lap led, so they're tied.
Too many numbers.
And no laps led for the 46, so maybe he needs to just get up here, rough somebody up, and get a lap led just to tick over the point situation.
Acosta's dropping back.
Ooh, yes. He's in the pits.
Oh, he's in the pits. Okay. That's actually kind of smart.
Well, he's going to get
some repairs.
4 fresh Goodyears, get that car repaired, and try to just get back by that 46. But right now, that makes it easy. Hanshaw now is the one that's locked in if it were to finish like this, but I don't think it will. So the 24 comes back onto the racetrack.
Yeah, so from my calculation, it should be a 3-point deficit. Just purely off points, regardless of where they're running right now after halfway. So, I mean, Acosta would have to finish 3 points at 3 positions ahead of Hanshaw, who's running in 3rd. So it's a tall order. So, but definitely that 24 has to be in front of the 46 to even have a shot of getting that final spot. And Cogswell just going to be sitting there hoping for another caution, get himself back in the lead because he's the only car allowed down.
Playoff implications, as Rick Allen would say.
I'm sure Rick Allen will be loving it. Right?
Implications. Around goes the 26.
I also wish we had people to keep track of it.
I would love that, people. That's what you should be doing right now.
Well, I'm trying to. It's hard to.
What do I pay you for?
It's talk, not right.
All right, re-racking, restacking, and Josh Adams finally back on the lead lap. He's one to keep an eye on. He was running pretty competitive lap times even with that damage. Maybe he could throw a hat in the ring and just be a spacer for some of these guys that are fighting for the playoff spot.
Yeah, only 12 cars that remain on the track, 11 of which are on the lead lap.
James Miller has led the most tonight. He's led 147 of 154 laps. Can he lead the final 30 out of turn 4? The lights are on. The sparks will fly. One playoff spot left. Green flag back in the air.
Oh,
no, behind him.
A caution.
And the 5 car into the fence. And right at the restart, a caution flies. And Acosta up to 6th. So he gained all those spots back and has fresh tires now. I think he missed a gear, I think. It's right on board. Listen carefully. Yep, missed a gear. And spun out. Got some contact from behind. That was Justin Kolb that didn't have anywhere to go. And Kolb drilled him the back end, and Cogswell got a big piece of that.
Oh, yeah.
And his and he would be the free pass recipient, I believe.
Oh, no, he won't because he was involved in that.
Right. So the 27 just keeps getting beaten down.
I wonder if since we do have a live admin, they might just give it to him because he was a victim in that. He didn't really cause it, so I don't know. They might give it to him. We'll see here.
See how it goes.
But.
How the turntables. Miller, okay, so Costa coming back down for tires. I think this is his strategy, just get fresh stuff.
Get fresh stuff and fix your car up as much as you can.
Absolutely.
So, because he's easily going to get a few spots on the start. There's a lot of damaged cars out there at the moment.
So Kolb, Miller, Adams will also come down to pit lane. Oh boy. I don't know what to think about this anymore.
Doesn't look like Cogswell's gotten anything. We'll still wait. Might be talking with the admins. I would be. I think iRacing system is good for obviously when no one's there, but you know, I would say I would argue in his case, you know, I didn't cause the caution. I was just a victim in it.
Some discussion in the chat. The Cup Series is win and you're in, I believe.
Yes.
The Truck Series is not.
Truck Series is based off of just points.
Yes. The RaceKings Cup Series is a win and you're in series. The Truck Series is not. So, but the 42 again is ineligible because of the late season start. He only has 6 starts recorded, which is not enough to be considered for the playoffs.
Yeah,
so,
you need at least 12.
Right. So Johnny Thomas is already locked in. Kyle Hanshaw is not. Right now he's pointed his way in. Acosta is P6. He's the one that could uproot the 46, but right now the 27 is out. And we're going to have about 25 laps to go at the restart. And where's the 54? Back up to 5th. So I think Grunberg might have some room to play left in this victory as well. Gosh, those lights look so good. Big improvement. All right, so let's take a look-see here. We've had 8 cautions for a total of 41 of our 160 laps. We've had 4 lead changes. The only leaders, again, James Miller, James Miller, Matt Ruenberg, and Carlos Acosta. So Acosta has those points for leading a lap. Those might prove to be very, very important. Cogswell down to pit lane. I don't think he's going to get that free pass maybe.
Yeah, I don't think he is, and that's going to be really unfortunate for him, although he's definitely got a shot at getting another one. Well, again, I don't know how much, because he did get a pretty good lick into Sam Close on his nose, so that might have damaged the car quite a bit, and we don't really know how much damage he's got until he really is out there running laps.
Right now, Kyle Hanshaw is the one in the playoffs, but he's got to hang on to the spot and keep that 24 of Carlos Acosta behind him, and he's right there in that yellow and black car. So there's some work to do in the Kyle Hanshaw camp, but he could be in the playoffs at the end of the night. We're going to have about 24 laps to contend for the rest of the race. Miller leading the way. He can pick up an extra cash prize here as well with that red Noble 4-banner. Green flag back in the air. 24 to go.
And off into turn 1, James Miller goes. There's Johnny Thomas also trying to race with him with a better-looking car. We'll see if it's faster, though. And here comes
Oh, no,
the
there's 54 deep on the brakes. Almost got into the corner of the 46. That got really close. Too close for comfort. Yeah. After the 46 did get turned earlier by the 24, so I'm sure he's a little extra sensitive to that.
Yeah, It looks like he had to back out quite a bit from that. He's trying to now wrestle that position away from Richard Hines, and will slot himself in 4th place.
Yeah, so again, out there on the 27, he's out by at least 5 or 6 points right now, the way things have been going tonight. Carlos Acosta loose behind the 2 car, but he needs to go up there and chase down the 46. That's the only way he's going to be able to get himself in the playoffs. He's either by winning or by chasing that 46. He hit the curbstone on exit of 2, Finney, and he hurt his momentum down the back straight, loses his spot.
And he's still losing some spots here as Adams gets him by. He's got Justin Coben behind him.
Yeah, Josh Adams is flying right now. He was the 2nd quickest car on the racetrack last time through. Remember, he got involved in an accident earlier, none of his doing, inside the top 5, and he's maybe good enough to beat Gruenberg, maybe even Miller, side by side, Hanshaw and Gruenberg for that P3 spot.
Yeah, I wonder if Gruenberg can get up there and wrestle the win away again within 20 laps to go. It's going to be a bit of a tall order, but definitely within the realm of possibilities. So Hanshaw gets shuffled back into 4th place. Acosta, though, dropping down the order, he's back in 8th, and now up the track he goes.
Yeah, he had to jump on the brakes to miss the 52 of Justin Colby. He's really struggling right now. He's in the fence out of turn 4. So the playoffs are fading for Carlos Acosta. 19 laps to go, and for Kyle Hanshaw, I don't know if he knows this yet, but he currently is the one scored in. Caution, Nick Miller.
Ooh, and Cogswell's and his car smoking.
That's it.
Yep.
Cogswell done for the season in terms of a championship run. And the bad luck continuing to compound. That's going to be the end of the night and the end of the season's championship run for the 27. How did this all start? He was all by himself. I think Nick Miller was up the road, and Miller was already crashing sideways, spun out, and Cogswell was approaching, and then Miller, just didn't see it happening, Finian. This is why you got to have that F3 box up. This wreck has been here for a while, and yeah, I mean, I got to look from the onboard because I don't know if he could have really seen this. We're not kind of in a blind spot here behind the 8 pillar.
Couldn't see. There he sees it.
Yeah, a little too late. And I think he was expecting the 9 to be up the racetrack, but just a blind spot, bad spot for the 9 car to be parked, and Cogswell just drove straight into the nose, and that was it for the 27. And I don't think there was a caution yet until the 27 hit the 9, so I don't think the yellow flag was out. There was really no reason for the 27 to slow down. So that's it for the 27. Simplifies things a little bit. It means that the only car still actively going for that spot, because Masso is out, so the only cars still actively going are Hanshaw and Acosta. So right now, Hanshaw is in, Acosta is out. We're going to have about 13 to 14 laps to sort it out.
Yeah, this has been really, really close between a lot of these guys. So again, Costa is about 3 points to the good over Hanshaw, but Hanshaw is up quite a few spots to Acosta, and Acosta's car too. He's been really struggling in second half of the race. That car has very little pace at 24. It's just not able to keep up with some of these other guys. So Acosta's really going to need to play some strategy to jump some positions and just hope for a string of cautions to end out this race. Otherwise, it's going to be Hanshaw walking into the playoffs by the skin of his teeth.
So essentially, they just need to finish in front of each other. Give or take 2 or 3 points.
Yeah.
I think Hanshaw's got a bit of an advantage here, though.
Yeah, and his car is in a much better state and able to stay up there in the top 4. So he's gotten that going for him. He just has to make sure he doesn't make a mistake or get caught up in an incident here, which can definitely happen when inside 15 to go. So, no mistakes for the 46. Do not put a wheel wrong. Do not put yourself in a position you don't need to be in. Essentially, for the 46, all he has to do is keep this 24 behind him. Acosta, if he gets ahead of the 46, he still has some work to do, but not quite the same for Hanshaw. Hanshaw finishes out of the 24 is essentially in. Other way.
Is it the other way?
Yeah, it's the other way.
Oh, darn. See how little I know? We're not going to say anything until we get the official points picture.
Yeah, but we definitely know it's between the 46 and the 24. That's all we're definitely certain of.
So one of those 2 cars gets to contend for a championship. James Miller leads the way. He's going for an extra cash prize tonight. He's got his teammate lined up on his outside. These 2 got together the last time they raced each other. Out of turn 4. 14, make it 13 to go. Green flag back in the air in the final race of the regular season for the 3WideRacing Cup Series. Miller takes off.
Oji's out. We're going to slot in line. You see Adams on the outside of Hanshaw. Hanshaw just trying to keep as many cars in behind them as possible.
Tight and scary down into turn 3. Hanshaw, he's being very passive here, but he's got to be a little bit aggressive. Oh no, the 52 in the wall right on the outside.
That's going to help Hanshaw out. He gets clear for the clear out that 52. Now Costa, it's up to him to try to pass as many guys as possible, but he's being passed by Sam Close to the inside.
Battle for the lead up the road. Matt Grunberg to the inside now, looks to the outside, trying to get the lead away from his teammate who's led almost 170 laps here at Myrtle Beach. 12 making 11 to go now.
Here he goes looking to the inside, and Miller's going to keep him pinched to the inside. Although, again, I can't imagine how the back end of that car is doing. It's going to have a tougher time rotating through the corners, but that 54 still looking to the inside.
Miller, Gruenberg, Adams, Hanshaw, your top four. Justin Combs sits fifth. And Acosta, he's had an issue. He's way back, Finian.
Yeah.
He's been in the wall or something. Oh, yeah. This is out of turn 2 last time by.
Oh.
Saved it, but this was pretty much a crash for the 24. So he bobbled big time.
Oh.
And meanwhile, for the top spot, Gruenberg and Miller for the lead. Here comes the 54. He's going to clear the 42. That spot goes to Gruenberg.
And Gruenberg finally gets the pass done. Will Miller do anything to get that spot back? It's his teammate, though. He wants that win and the money that's on the line.
Here comes Adams.
And here comes Josh Adams, who's been pretty much out of it for most of the race. Has finally appeared up more or less where we expected him to.
Door to door, maybe a little bit of contact there. Bumping and rubbing, 8 laps to go.
Yeah, side by side off return 2. They're still side by side down into 3 where they left off. Neither guy winning in this scenario.
Oh, the 42 slipping, sliding up the racetrack. Into the wall he goes. He's going to stop caution out with 8 laps to go, make it 7. James Miller, the driver that led 169 laps tonight, dropping down the order with crash damage. Gruenberg leads the way. Hanshaw sits in 3rd. And Carlos Acosta, a big break for him again.
Yeah, but he's running out of chances here. He's got one more shot at this.
Yeah, it's not a great shot
and
either.
that car is just looking like he's got really nothing left to use. He's got nothing left in his toolbox.
There was contact there with the 95. Tank slapped into the wall. Into a stop. Just the slightest little contact there on the 42 sideways. There's not a lot of banking here to catch it. If you get sideways, you're going into the wall.
Yeah.
So we're going to have about 2 or 3 laps to go. I don't think this is going to count as our green-white checker.
Yeah,
we'll have one attempt at a green-white checker
It
tonight.
might be within regulation. We'll keep an eye on it.
So Acosta, has he come to pit lane? I don't think he has. He stays out this time. Hanshaw's on 36-lap-old tires. If I'm the 24, I'd be on pit road right now.
Yeah, I would be on too. There's not enough cars left to really matter. And again, with considering the way his car's handling, he could really use the fresh rubber to his advantage.
24 is going to avoid hitting the pit lane. Really perplexed by that strategy call.
Yeah, well, I think he's looking at it as that, again, if he finishes 6th, he's going to be tied with Hanshaw. Let me do some quick check on their top 5.
We need to do some math here. But he's really just got to gain 1 spot if Hanshaw stays where he is. That's not too tall of an order to make, so maybe that's why he's... Well, I mean, and then again, we're only going to have 2 or 3 laps to go.
Yeah, and again, if I'm assuming correctly that they go off top 5 as the next metric between them and a tiebreaker, it's going to go in Acosta's favor for a tiebreaker.
So, now my question here is... Is this going to count as our green-white checker? We're going to have 2 laps to go.
The pace car lights go off now.
Well, it'll be 2 laps to go if that happens, which it
nope.
will not. So this will
have,
be our green-white checker.
Yeah, our one and only shot at it.
So if they crash on the restart, that's it. Locked in spot. So Acosta needs to gain approximately 1 spot. Oh, man.
Potentially.
Supposedly.
Yeah, and he's got to hope that there's a caution immediately, because again, I don't think he's got the tires to really do anything, but then he's got Sam Close's outside, and look at the state of that car.
Well, he's got better tires than some of the cars, most of the cars around him.
But the guys behind him have fresher rubbers. He also got the 42, so if it goes even 1 lap green, he could potentially lose another spot. So this is coming down to the wire.
All right, the 1 to green comes out here, and we're going to come to the restart on what would have been our final lap under regulation distance. So this race is going to go about a mile over with the scheduled distance. And Matt Grunberg is your leader. He chooses the outside lane for the restart. Adams on the inside. And of course, Hanshaw and Acosta, the ones to watch. Hanshaw starting third on the inside line. Hasn't been the place to be for the restart, but 2 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. 2 to go here in the penultimate, or the last race of the regular season, and Grunberg takes off. Hanshaw slots into 4th.
Oh, and Acosta gets thrown into turn 1. He's going to lose a bunch of spots. He's going to be out of it. He's still struggling to get control of that car.
Up into the wall, and that's going to slip away the opportunity to win. Matt Grunberg leads the way. White flag this time by for the 54. Josh Adams in second. Kolb third. Hanshaw, it looks like he might be safe up the road in 3rd place.
I'll give the official word after the checkered flag, but meanwhile up in front, Matt Grunberg has had a pretty unremarkable day, and he's going to come home with the win here.
His 5th win of the season.
Whoa.
Crashing across the line is the 42, but I think the 46 might have done it. A crazy finish here at Myrtle Beach Speedway. We have some math to do, but Acosta slipped up again. Turn 2 has been his Achilles heel tonight. And he slipped and will finish 11th. That may not be good enough. Grunberg in the 54 was not the dominant car tonight. Led 14 laps, but it was the 14 that mattered at the end of the race. Victory for the 54. Grunberg's 5th win of the season. He's going to walk into the playoffs tied with Chad Frankenfield in victories, Finney. And what does that mean for the 54? I mean, who's our championship favorite? I still think the 15 is probably the best one of the 2. That's a hard
I don't
choice.
know, honestly. Grunberg had a much better start to the season. Frankenfield has been much better in the middle. I guess it really comes down to who's better at the tracks that we're going to in the chase, and we really take the best out of it. I feel like we haven't really seen Grunberg's true pace because he's been starting in the back a lot of times, getting caught up in some incidents that's taken him out of contention. But I really think we're in a state where it can go either way between them.
So tonight, Kyle Hanshaw comes home 3rd after winning the Truck Series race last night. This place has been very kind to the 46. Yeah. We're going to find out very shortly what the situation is.
Yeah, and I think if he does get it, it'll pretty much be a win for that 46. And even just in general, a top 3, not too shabby of a finish. But again, looking at the bigger picture for him, we'll see if he can get in.
We'll be right back. We're going to talk to your winner and tell you the full playoff picture in just a moment. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss the results of the race. Be right back. Welcome back live to Sim TV. It's the final race of the season in the RaceKings Cup Series regular season. We head to the playoffs for the next round, and unfortunately for the 27 of Jonathan Cogswell, he will not be a part of that picture. A 12th place finish tonight, but not a lot went right those last 100 laps or so. Jonathan, what happened?
Well, I got into contact with someone else and took my confidence away, and I didn't want to cause two cautions, so I kind of laid back for a while. But things were going good, and I was in the 6th place, and someone else pitted, and I said, man, I want to jump on that strategy too, because this is going to go green. And the caution came out, put me 2 laps down. I got caught in traffic, and it was just a nightmare for the end of.
Looking back on the season as a whole, though, are there positives to take away from this, and how are you going to come back stronger next season?
I got off to a rough start, and I've also got some new equipment halfway through the season that's really helped tremendously. And a season under my belt, and it's a lot of fun. I've been having a lot.
Well, fun often, that's the only thing everyone's out here going for. Jonathan, thanks for talking to us. I know it was a hard night for you, but we'll see you in the races from here on out, and good luck, better luck next season.
Thanks, I appreciate all of you.
All right, moving on now, it'll be James Miller, who led the most laps tonight in that number 42 one sim car. James, not the result you were looking for, officially scored P5 at the end of the race. Led a huge majority of the laps, 169 of the 186 laps we did tonight. What happened?
Just really simple mistakes that cost me big time there. First was just after the halfway point. I got loose at a 2 out of nowhere and nosed it into the wall. Somehow kept it going still, kept my position. Knocked the toe just a tad. I was losing long run speed, but it wasn't too noticeable in the short run. And then battling side by side with Matt there, I gave it a bit too much out of 4, kind of walked it up to the wall, and I thought I was just going to scrape it, but it kind of just pushed me off of the wall and floored Matt and spun out in the front stretch, backed into the wall. Also somehow kept the lead. Not really sure, honestly, if I agree with that, but then it was just a fight to keep that car up front. And then that near the end there, Matt finally passed me, and then that let Josh Adams get to my inside, and there was a bit of contact in 3 and 4 that put me in the wall, and then I got stuck in it a bit there, and just kind of felt like a repeat to Indy on hit the outside wall. So yeah, a big fight back to 5th there at the end, still with a damaged car, but I think I proved a lot today. Also disproved a lot today that there's still a bunch of mistakes in me that I got to work out. But happy with the speed. Still fairly happy with the performance, but still more to work on.
A top 5 for James Miller, who led the most laps tonight. James, thanks for talking to us, and better luck next week.
Thank you.
All right, next we're going to talk to our 3rd place finisher, Kyle Hanshaw. Kyle, 3rd place tonight, certainly a very strong run. We're still waiting on the official word of the playoff picture, but our guess is that you're the one that's in. How did you get yourself in this position? Because this track has been very, very kind to you the past couple of nights. A strong drive. Talk to us about your night.
Yeah, the whole goal tonight was to just keep it clean and stay out of trouble, and did that for the most part. On that one restart, got tapped, I think, behind from Carlos, and I think he just got in there too hot, and I was on older tires, but it was unfortunate. I didn't want to see that happen. I yelled at him on the radio, but it was all good, and got some fresh tires and tried to get as much damage as I could fixed, but it didn't really matter, being a short track, so that played out in my favor. But yeah, it's just a crazy race. I knew I had to just finish ahead of all 3 of those guys. I think Cogswell got caught up in something, and he was out. Luis disconnected, and Carlos was the only one I had to really worry about. But was able to stay in front of him, and yeah, I don't know if I'm in or not, but definitely tried my hardest to make the playoffs. That's for sure.
Let's say that our suspicions are confirmed and you are in the playoffs. How does a championship run feel to you? Do you think that you can get a couple race victories here and there? And you know, are you looking forward to that opportunity, or is there still some work to do in the speed camp for you?
Definitely looking forward to having this opportunity. This is my third year in 3 wide, and this will be my first year competing for a championship. So that's pretty cool. Just got to do more practices and, you know, get down and start digging. Got to pull out good finishes definitely in this time of the season. So hopefully these next couple of rounds will be, you know, good to us, and we'll see what happens.
All right, well, Kyle Hanshaw, third place tonight, did everything he could to get himself in the playoffs. We'll wait for the official word. But Hanshaw, third tonight, strong run, Kyle. Thanks for talking.
Thanks, guys.
Second place now, Justin Kolb in the 52 car, came home in P2. You surprised me. I think you surprised a lot of people. A strong run. Wasn't without a couple incidents, but you managed to come home P2. Thoughts after a pretty wild race here at Myrtle Beach?
Yeah, I don't think anybody realized that I came home P2, so that's pretty funny. But I had to avoid everything tonight. I got involved in a lot of stuff, and like you said, somehow came home P2, so I don't really know what happened tonight. But, you know. Wild one, this track was almost the same as it was for the trucks last night. It was just kind of loose into the corner in one, kind of tight off in four, and really just had to attack it. Real driver's track tonight. Just had to attack it the best you could. And obviously the one sim guys did it the best. They even took themselves out at one point and still won the race, so I'm not really sure how you do that, but it's pretty impressive.
You're one of the drivers that is locked into the RaceKings Cup Series playoffs. In terms of a championship run, it's been a pretty strong year for you in general. Do you think you have a shot at the championship come the end of the season?
Well, I thought we'd be decent going in, and then we kind of held serve tonight with the two leaders there that one run, so that gave me a lot more confidence, and I don't want to say that, you know, I'm the best for the championship right now, but I think I can probably hold my own. The goal is to at least get into that second round, and if I can do that, I'll be pretty happy with myself. So, like you said, we got all the momentum. We're riding on all the momentum right now, so I couldn't be more excited to hit into these playoffs right now.
Justin Kolb, P2 tonight in the 52 Nintendo Camaro. Justin, thanks for talking to us. Congrats on the finish. We'll see you next race.
Thank you, sir.
Last but certainly not least, it's Matt Grunberg. We're used to talking to him, but it's been a little while since your last victory, Matt. Your fifth one of the season, now matching and tying the season high for Chad Frankenfield as well, who was absent tonight. Thoughts on racing your teammate for the lead and coming home with a one sim victory in that 54 Mustang?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun racing James there. I know he got a little bit loose there and ended up getting into me, and we kind of both spun there when we were in the lead. So that must have been interesting to watch on the broadcast. But honestly, we came in here really late, so I just tried to get the feel of the car early on, and was able to ride there in the back and get a good feel for it. And then about 40 laps into it, I finally started working my way up and raced James side by side there for quite a while. I had to have been more than 10 laps. It felt like an eternity. But honestly, it worked out for us. So we're just happy to walk away with the W and maybe take this momentum into the playoffs.
I was just about to ask you about the playoffs picture because it seems like you've been playing pretty safe the past couple of weeks and kind of staying at the back. Does your race strategy change now heading into the playoffs? Are you going to be more aggressive at the starts, or you know, this has been working out for you, so you're going to pull the same strategy again throughout the playoffs, or is something going to shift around?
Honestly, I've been contemplating this as well. I mean, it's worked out for me so far at this whole season, so I don't know if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I guess. But we'll see how it goes next week. I know Atlanta is one of our better tracks, kind of like Texas, so we should run pretty good there and probably qualify next week as well. So.
Matt Grunberg, one sim Mustang in victory lane again for the fifth time this season. Thanks a lot, Matt, for talking to us, and good luck in the playoffs.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, things have been completed here, Finian. What's the situation?
Yeah, so Kyle Hansha has made it in over Carlos Acosta by 5 points.
Wow, okay, so it wasn't even really that close.
Well, it was close because if you look at it this way,
yeah.
Hansha finished in 3rd, Acosta finished in 11th. So if he finished in 6th, so we were actually right on track.
Yeah,
we were right on track with it. But yeah, because Acosta lost so many positions on that last lap, it made it much less close than it was. And he really did just need a caution and a lot of the front guys to wreck, including Hansha, but of course, that didn't happen, much to the 24's dismay. But yeah, Hansha definitely be happy with this week and got a win out of it, and also clinching a spot in after a fairly solid run there at the end.
Yeah, 2 strong runs this weekend for Kyle Hanshaw. It's going to take that momentum into the playoffs now. He's now a playoff driver in the 3WideRacing Cup Series. That's going to do it for us here tonight on Sim TV. Thank you so much for joining us and watching through this 186-lap race tonight from Myrtle Beach Speedway. Matt Grunberg wins his 5th of the season. Hanshaw makes it into the playoffs by the skin of his teeth over Carlos Acosta, who was charging hard at the end but had a couple too many incidents. Cogswell falls out in the final race of the regular season with a couple accidents. He finishes 12th and will be 13th in the points, or 13th or 14th in the points, leaving the racetrack. So that is going to be it for us tonight. Tomorrow, the Speed 51 Elite Modified Series takes on Gateway at about 7:45 p.m. That's going to be a first for us here on Sim TV. Modified action from the 1.3 mile racetrack in Gateway. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you later. Have a great night.